Good morning. This is the Site for Wight news for Friday the 2nd of August 2019. I'm Linda.
And I'm Howard.
Now we start off with Tuesday the 6th of August. There'll be a coffee morning held in support of Site for Wight at the post office in Knighton. All are welcome from 10:30am until 12 o'clock noon. The swimming group is swimming at the waterside pool in Ryde from 8pm until 8:45pm. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call the Site for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group. Wednesday, the 7th of August. The weekly coffee morning and low vision drop-in held at Millbrook House will not take place during August. Thursday, the 8th of August. Laura will be at the monthly coffee morning at the Old Smithy Coffee Shop in God's Hill between 10:30am and 11:45am. Our coffee mornings are run by staff and volunteers from Site for Wight and are open to all. Refreshments, including delicious fresh cakes, are available to purchase direct from the coffee shop. The Thursday social group will not be meeting at Millbrook House during August.
Other news: the August edition of the Site for Wight newsletter can be heard following the county press. Chris Kane was on Vectis Radio with Maggie and Kelvin Curry on Tuesday 29th of July. This can be heard later in the programme. Noir anti-glare shields and filters. We now have a sample set of the most popular filters and frames available to try. These can be mixed and matched to individual requirements and then ordered. They're available to view at the low vision drop-in on Wednesdays, or if you prefer to make an appointment, please contact the charity on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Raffle tickets are now available for our annual raffle, which will be drawn on 31st of October. The tickets are £1 each and come in books of 5 tickets. Please contact Site for Wight on 522205 or email inquiries@iwsb.org.uk if you'd like to purchase tickets. Site for Wight is looking for donations of tombola prizes for upcoming summer shows and also donations of raffle prizes, i.e. meals, car MOTs, gift tokens, etc. from businesses. If you're able to help, contact Site for Wight on 522205 or email admin@iwsb.org.uk. Open Site Hampshire are hosting the Eye Contact exhibition on Wednesday 29th of September 2019 between 10am and 5pm at the Aegeus Bowl in Southampton. It's Hampshire's biggest free exhibition, which brings together the latest equipment and services available to those with or at risk of sight loss. For more information, please call 02380 641 244 or visit their website www.opensite.org.uk. Day sailing on the Spirit of Scott Bader catamaran. This is a purpose-designed catamaran which we hope to be joining for a day's sailing around the Solent on Thursday, September 19th. Timings are dependent on the tides, but will probably be early morning to mid-afternoon and will be confirmed closer to the date. Assuming full capacity, the cost will be £27 per person, but this may change if all spaces are not taken. Due to limited spaces available, places will be offered on a first-come, first-served basis. Closing date for applications is 23rd of August. For further details, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. Eye Contact Exhibition 2019 at the Aegeus Bowl in Southampton. We're considering a group trip to this exhibition on Wednesday 25th of September. Event time is 10am to 5pm. To gauge whether there would be sufficient interest in this trip, please register your interest by Friday 23rd of August. Once we know the possible numbers, we can finalise transport arrangements. For more details, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Visit to Osborne House. Join us for a visit to Osborne House on Monday the 7th of October, 10:30 a.m. for approximately 4 to 5 hours. Adult cost is £18.50. Senior citizen, £16.70, plus £2 per person if the minibus is required. For more details, please contact Laura Jasper on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk. All Site for Wight activities and trips are subject to demand and availability of volunteers. Beware of scams. Further to a Finance Officer Lisa's article in the newsletter about her recent experience with a scam call, we've been contacted by a member about a number of nuisance calls they have received recently. The best advice is to end the call if you are at all uncertain about the nature of the call, and never give any information over the phone unless you are 100% certain you know who you are speaking to. This week's In Touch: smart meters and improving access to roads and rail. The introduction of accessible smart meters, textured paving and improvements to help for visually impaired people on train stations. RNIB and manufacturer GEO are developing a smart meter that will be accessible for blind and partially sighted people. Audrey Gallagher from Energy UK tells Peter Wight about the meter and its accessibility features. We also hear from John Worsfold from RNIB, who tells us about how the meter has been tested. The Department for Transport is conducting surveys on textured paving. Anne Fry, formerly head of the DFT Accessibility Unit, tells us how textured paving got started in the UK and Europe and the points she would make if she took part in one of the surveys. Finally, Dan Brown from the Office for Rail and Roads tells Peter about improvements visually impaired passengers will receive when travelling by train. The presenter is Peter Wight and the producer is Tom Walker.
And now the articles from today's County Press. That's Friday, August the 2nd. The main headline is to do with online gaming apps. A mother whose disabled son lost his £3,000 life savings on a free online game has called for a clampdown on the way the industry is run. In the week, a British teenager won £900,000 playing Fortnite. Susie Breer is worried other youngsters are at risk of losing their money. Susie's 22-year-old son Michael has cerebral palsy, complex epilepsy, autism, learning difficulties and a cognitive ability of a 7-year-old child. But after suffering a seizure during a family holiday in Turkey, he was restricted to his bedroom and played a game called Hidden Artifacts, little realising that every time he clicked to a new page, he was being charged through iTunes. Susie said, "Michael lost that money in just 2 weeks. He's distraught and doesn't know what he did wrong." When you first start Hidden Artifacts, it comes across as an educational game for 4-year-olds and upwards. Susie said the game was free to play, but she believed you had to enter card details to get started. She said he was being charged for extra features once the game started. That money was in his account to help him pay his way through life. He's just moved from an epilepsy specialist unit into assisted support living. I can't put a parental control on the iPad because he'd be left with nothing to watch. He wouldn't be able to watch YouTube or follow sport. It was a virtual reality game, and he thought he was using virtual reality money. Susie of Yarmouth has spoken to Island MP Bob Seeley, who said he'd bring the issue up in Parliament. She said, "I've spoken to Bob Seeley this week, and he's passionate about this and said he would be bringing it up in Parliament. iTunes have been very good about it and have reimbursed a fraction of what Michael spent, but I tried contacting the game's designers with no joy. Parents need to know that their children are gambling on these games, not gaming. Michael spent a total of £3,160 all on the same game.
A rescued man dies. A man pulled from the sea at Sandown on Sunday has died. Bembridge Coast Guard Rescue Team, Isle of Wight Police and the Isle of Wight Ambulance Service attended the beach near Culver Parade at around 8 p.m. The casualty was taken to St Mary's Hospital, but the police confirmed his death the following day. An Isle of Wight police spokesperson said, "We are aware of the sudden death of a man at Culver Parade, Sandown, on the evening of Sunday, July the 28th. The death is not being treated as suspicious and a file is being prepared for the coroner." It was the second death in recent weeks along the same stretch of water.
A crazy 1,479-mile bike race challenge has been completed by Jason Hales in memory of his girlfriend, Elena Morris, who died in November, aged just 18. The Pan-Celtic race along the coastal roads in the Highlands of Scotland saw half the riders pull out, but Jason, 23, reached the finishing line in 12th place and was the youngest competitor to complete the challenge. He said, "Rewind back to 2017, my girlfriend Elena and I discussed our dreams to go travelling and see the world together. Because I was already a keen cyclist, and it's a pretty cheap and affordable way to go travelling, we both decided by bike was how we were going to do it. Through the winter of 2017, Elena saved as much money as possible and rode her bike in some incredibly bad weather conditions in the desire to get fitter and allow this dream to come true. In February 2018, she finally had enough money to buy her first road bike. Unfortunately, she only got to ride the bike twice. In March 2018, Elena suddenly got rushed into hospital, getting diagnosed with a diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, which is a form of incurable brain tumour. Unfortunately, she lost her life to it just 8 months later. I felt lost for the first time in my life, wondering what is the point of doing anything if one day it can just all be taken away from you. I then decided I couldn't live my life thinking this. I needed to start taking a more positive outlook on life. A few days later, a friend sent me a link to a few cycling events, including the Pan-Celtic race. It felt like a sign. It was the first year the event has taken place, and it started in the very same place I promised I was going to take Elena, Scotland, so I entered it. He believes having Elena in his mind, there with him in spirit, prevented him from pulling out of the gruelling race when the going got tough. Jason is raising funds for the Wight Brainy Bunch, which is one of the charities that helped Elena through her difficult journey. Elena, who lived at Castle Street, Carisbrooke, attended Carisbrooke High School and the Isle of Wight College and worked at the Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary.
Wight Fibre installs community defibrillator. Island firm Wight Fibre has had a defibrillator installed at its base in Cowes and given defibrillator training to 16 of the team. It brings the total defibrillators across the Isle of Wight to more than 430. Wight Fibre Chief Operating Officer Simon Poole said, "We're always keen to support our team and the local community, and in line with Because We Care ethos, we are delighted to offer this life-saving equipment. The defibrillator is for the local community too and will be accessible during our office opening hours." Louise Walker of the Isle of Wight NHS Trust Ambulance Service, which trained the team, thanked Wight Fibre. She said, "If someone suffers an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, their first 3 minutes are absolutely time critical. A defibrillator, along with good quality CPR, can produce a survival rate as high as 70%.
The annual but unofficial St Helens and Bembridge Fort Walk returns on Saturday. The event, in which walkers wade from St Helens and Bembridge to a fort only accessible during an especially low tide, attracts hundreds of people every year. The recommended time to begin is 6:45 p.m, around 30 minutes before the lowest tide at 7:18 p.m. Bembridge RNLI released safety tips, including sticking to the path, not wearing flip-flops, and calling 999 if you get into trouble. The walk can also be attempted on August 31st.
The council rejects mental health petition signed by 6,000. A petition to save the island's mental health day centres, signed by more than 6,000 people, has been rejected by the Isle of Wight Council. A leading councillor described the day centres as the delivery model of a bygone era. The drop-in centre closures were suggested in October as part of budget proposals to save £145,000. They are Parklands in Cowes, Ribbelow in Ryde and West Wight Day Services in Freshwater, plus a satellite centre in Ventnor. It was decided at last Wednesday's full council meeting that the authority would proceed with the closures. Colleen Brannan, who started a petition to rethink the closures, spoke at the meeting where the petition was debated. She said, "Services provided by these mental health centres are vital, particularly the local drop-in aspect." Colleen said the services may be underused, but they need to be well-resourced, staffed and publicised. But Councillor Claire Mosdell, Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care and Public Health, said the services were the delivery model of a bygone era. She said people with mental health needs should be welcomed and embraced and supported to attend community groups where they can come together with people simply through their interests and not via illness. Being part of the local community is much more effective if we're building on people's strengths rather than them being cut off from the community in a building designed to protect them from their weaknesses. She said no closures would take place until reviews had taken place and people who use the services were supported in alternative ways. Councillor Chris Whitehouse said the current mental health services were in a shocking state and not fit for purpose. He said, "I warmly welcome the changes that will improve the level of care and the access to it that are being brought forward at the moment." But opposition councillors criticised the closures, with councillors Andrew Garrett and Jeff Brodie stressing the council was not united on the decision. Councillor Garrett said, "I do believe Councillor Mosdell is genuinely trying to achieve the best for the people who need access to these services and others, but I am more than slightly concerned that she so readily dismisses the idea of reviewing the decision. A review is not onerous, it can be done quickly. The evidence is there that a review is necessary, if only to reassure those who have taken the trouble to putting in a petition that this will lead to something that is at least as good, if not better." Councillor Debbie Andres said, "We heard about the current people that are using these day centres and how they are going to be supported. But what about the new people coming into the system? I hear there is going to be new provision, but what sort of timescale is there? There is a real danger here that people will fall through the gaps." The petition was rejected with 13 votes for and 22 against.
The body of a woman was found in the sea on Wednesday afternoon following a search. At 12:57 p.m, police were called to Tennyson Down following concerns for the welfare of a woman. Officers attended the scene and a short time later the body of a woman in her 50s was recovered from the water. A police spokesperson said next of kin have been informed. At this stage, the death is not being treated as suspicious and a file is being prepared for the coroner. Her Majesty's Coast Guard coordinated the response, which involved Needles and Ventnor Coast Guard rescue teams, Yarmouth RNLI lifeboat, Freshwater Independent lifeboat and HM Coast Guard's helicopter from Leon Solent, along with police.
Virgin Radio presenter takes on swim challenge. Virgin Radio presenter Vassos Alexander, who is on the Chris Evans show, swam the Solent with Ventnor man Sam Allpass. The pair, who have connections to the island but are also neighbours in London, raised money for Aspire, a national charity helping people paralysed by spinal cord injury. Sam, who raised £1,325, said, I have been open water swimming for 15 years, having got into swimming via triathlons, and I was a former Great Britain sculler, but that was 25 years ago. I decided to swim the Solent because I thought it would be a challenge and save the cost of a ferry trip. During the swim we saw large tankers, and I could taste the Isle of Wight ferry in the water when it went past. Luckily, my kayaker steered me clear of a very large jellyfish.
A late-night swoop saw police seize 65 dogs from a property in Cowes on Monday. Police attended Fellows Road at around 11 p.m. and removed the dogs from a van and a house. The dogs were handed over to the RSPCA. A spokesperson for the charity said, "We're so grateful to people who report suspected animal suffering to us, and we would like to reassure people we will always look into and, if necessary, investigate any complaints made to us about animal welfare. We're unable to comment any further, as we're unable to discuss ongoing inquiries about specific people and what action may have been taken. We understand how frustrating that is for animal lovers, but releasing information could prejudice a future investigation." The news came in the same week as the RSPCA announced new figures that reveal reports on the Isle of Wight about puppy farms have soared by 300% in the last decade. As a result, the charity is urging families thinking of getting a puppy over the summer holidays to consider adopting a rescue pet instead. RSPCA dog welfare expert Lisa Hens said, "It's distressing that we're still seeing so many reports about puppy farms, but part of this increase is probably due to people being more savvy about what to look out for when getting a pet. We know there's a spike in people searching for puppies and buying dogs at the beginning of the school holidays, but we'd urge families to carefully consider whether getting a dog is right for them."
Tim finds an unusual way to circumnavigate the island. A Sandown man completed a 95-kilometre circumnavigation of the Isle of Wight in a kayak. Tim Wiggins set out at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning from the calm waters of Bembridge Harbour. His route from Bembridge cut close inshore with no way for support boats to follow him. Tim reached Shanklin before the support team caught up and reached Ventnor by 8 a.m. Close to 9 a.m, Tim found himself paddling around St Catherine's Point, an hour ahead of schedule, and reached the Needles before 1 p.m. Had he not, he would have been fighting a strong flood tide to get west around the Rock. After passing through Allen Bay and Hurst Narrows, Tim stopped for a refuel at Colwell. At noon, Tim rounded the lighthouse, with jagged rocks towering high above and waves crashing at the base. He averaged well over 10 kilometres per hour and continued to creep further ahead of his schedule. Progressing past Yarmouth and Cowes, Tim turned the corner at Norris Castle and could see Ryde Pier in sight, the final leg. Around Seaview, St Helens Fort came into view, as did the entrance to Bembridge Harbour, the finish line. Tim crossed the harbour mouth, completing his circumnavigation in 11 hours, 53 minutes. He said, "What an incredible journey, beautiful experience and special challenge." The escapade raised more than £700 for the Ellen MacArthur Cancer Trust.
A climate emergency was declared by the Isle of Wight Council last Wednesday, but the decision was far from unanimous and watered down from the initial proposal. After almost an hour of debate and heckling from the public gallery, the authority voted in favour, although one senior councillor admitted he was a climate change sceptic. The motion to declare a climate emergency was initially put forward by Councillor Michael Lilly and asked the council to establish a climate change board to underpin the island's decarbonising efforts. It was supported by members of the Green Party and Extinction Rebellion, who demonstrated outside County Hall before the meeting. The wording of the motion was similar to that approved by 171 other councils across the country. Councillor Lilly said, "July is on track to become one of the Earth's hottest months on record. We're obviously quite hot tonight. This is real evidence the planet's overall climate is warming, and this extreme heatwave is more likely in the future unless we start taking action. An amendment was submitted by Cabinet Member Councillor Steve Hastings, excluding the Climate Change Board. It also removed the resolution to write to government requesting additional powers and altered the wording so the goal of achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2030 was an aim rather than a commitment. Councillor Lilly said he accepted the amendment because he felt it was important to discuss the Council's support to pass the motion. However, Councillor Chris Whitehouse said the amendment was unconstitutional and unlawful. He said he had the most knowledge of climate change in the room and wanted to remove the line declaring a climate emergency. Councillor Stuart Hutchinson said he was a climate sceptic and it was fairly unlikely human activity was affecting the climate. Councillor Gary Pearce said declaring a climate emergency was just symbolic and he didn't agree with voting for something for symbolism. The motion passed with 23 votes for, 6 against and 5 abstentions.
A toddler was rescued from the sea by Ventnor man Chris Goddard. Chris leapt into action on Shanklin Beach when he saw the child, who was being washed towards a groin. Chris's daughter, Kirsty, said, "Dad ran across the beach and saved his life. Please don't rely on others to watch your kids."
Plans for a combined fire authority, CFA, for the Isle of Wight and Hampshire have been given the green light by the Home Office. Sajid Javid accepted the proposal last Wednesday, July 24th, as one of his last acts before he left his role as Home Secretary to become Chancellor of the Exchequer. The deal will see a pooling of resources between the Isle of Wight and Hampshire Fire and Rescue Services, as well as simpler governance and decision-making. The application for the initiative, planned to launch in April 2021, will now be laid before Parliament. The launch date was pushed back a year due to unrelated national issues. Neil Odin, Chief Officer for Isle of Wight and Hampshire Fire Services, said, "It's great to have reached this opportunity milestone and have a new time frame agreed by the Home Secretary. We remain totally committed to delivering this vital initiative for the benefit of the Isle of Wight and Hampshire." The Isle of Wight and Hampshire Fire Services have been working closely since April 2015, sharing a Chief Fire Officer and other staff and services. The Hampshire Service Control Room already deals with 999 calls for the island. Councillor Tig Outlaw, the Isle of Wight Council's Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Protection, said, "The Council is grateful that the Home Office recognised its importance and processed this so quickly. This is an important further step in ensuring the long-term resilience of the Isle of Wight Fire and Rescue Service. If agreed, the new CFA will not affect frontline 999 response and is not expected to impact on staff numbers."
Yarmouth decision recalled. The relocation of Yarmouth Primary School could be in doubt following a legal challenge to the Isle of Wight Council. Plans were in place to close All Saints Primary School Freshwater on April the 3rd, 2020. Pupils would move to Yarmouth Primary School, which would be expanded and eventually relocated to the Freshwater site. The Isle of Wight Council's Cabinet voted to approve the plans on July the 11th, and a public notice of the decision was issued on July the 19th. But the notice has been withdrawn after the Council received a legal challenge in relation to the notice. A statement from the Isle of Wight Council said, "The Council has taken a decision at this stage to withdraw the public notice it issued on July the 19th in relation to school places in the West Wight to enable it to fully and carefully consider a legal challenge it has received in relation to the notice." Parents of Yarmouth Primary School pupils protested outside County Hall ahead of the Cabinet meeting earlier this month. They criticised the decision to move a school which, in its current site, was rated by Ofsted as good. The Isle of Wight Council said it could not expand on the reasons for the legal challenge at this stage. Vix Lothian, Freshwater Parish Councillor, said, "While this notice of withdrawal is welcome if it will result in keeping our rural schools open, I fear this may be a disruptive delay resulting in an even deeper mess for the schools in the West Wight. It's vital that council decisions are made in the next couple of months, as teachers and governors, parents and children need to be able to make decisions regarding jobs and schools and homes and their future. This has resulted in much upset and division.
The sands of Sandown Bay were pummeled by hundreds of feet on Sunday for the annual Dash and Splash. The 5-kilometre event raised money for challenge and adventure when more than 200 intrepid runners set off down the beach. We had beautiful conditions, said fundraiser and organiser Karen Eels. We have to do it at the lowest possible tide, so it's always in the summer. The beach was very busy, so it was quite the sight seeing all those runners running among the beachgoers. The event offers a unique run along Sandown Bay from Shanklin Rowing Club to Yaverland Sailing Club. Runners have to navigate more than 40 groins, most straight runs through large gaps, but some involving a splash through ankle and waist deep water. Around 25 volunteers from Shanklin Rowing Club, Yaverland Sailing Club, Sandown and Shanklin Rotary Clubs and Ride Lions offered their services. About 160 people pre-registered, but more signed up on the day.
Wight Link and Hover Travel have been shortlisted as Ferry Operator of the Year at the Transport Times National Transport Awards. Wight Link was named as a finalist following its £45 million investment in its Portsmouth to Fishbourne route, which includes the introduction of new ferry Victoria of Wight. Hovercraft was shortlisted for the same award for its Hover Care and concessionary travel scheme, which provides assistance and discount rates to passengers with reduced mobility. Wight Link Chief Executive Keith Greenfield said, "We're delighted to be shortlisted for this national honour. It's a tribute to the achievements of everyone involved with our extensive port infrastructure works at Portsmouth and Fishbourne, and the successful introduction of our new hybrid flagship Victoria of Wight on this route. In addition, this recognises the hard work carried out every day by colleagues on all our routes and at our ports to deliver excellent customer care for people who travel with us." Head of Commercial at Hover Travel, Loretta Lales, said, "This is the second time we've been shortlisted for the National Transport Awards Ferry Operator of the Year, and we're especially proud to be in the final this year for our Hover Care initiative. We have expanded our efforts in improving accessibility for all, with activities such as participating in national campaigns such as Disabled Access Day and training our staff in specific skills such as dementia awareness, Macathon and guided boarding. To be recognised as a finalist at a national level for this initiative elevates the conversation about accessibility to the very top of the UK transport sector. The 19th Annual National Transport Awards aim to celebrate successful national and local transport projects. The winners will be announced on October the 31st at an awards ceremony held at the Westminster Park Plaza in London.
A Needles Coast Guard has been honoured for his 20 years of service. Tom Wyeth was presented with his award after dedicating more than 2 decades to patrolling the coast. Tom said, "For me, I've reached the pinnacle of the Coast Guard Rescue Service. I've been to so many rescues that I can hardly remember any in great detail, not even my first shout. But hand on heart, I can honestly say I've saved a life, many in fact." Tom joined the Coast Guard at 18 back in 1998. Since then, he's been on hundreds of calls to people who found themselves in trouble. Tom said, "We're a volunteer group, and yet on a Monday afternoon recently, I had 10 of my 13 team members respond to an incident. These people from all different walks of life drop everything to help those in need, despite having mortgages to pay, families to feed, or loved ones to be with. In 20 years, I've seen tragedy, how easy it is to get out of your depth in the blink of an eye. Now I find myself risk assessing all I see at the beach, but it is important to enjoy what we have, the coastline, the beaches and the sea. Just do it with care and respect." At the ceremony, Tom was joined by his wife Kirsty and their children Freya, Sophia and Tilly, who he thanked for their support. He said, "My mother got up to make me a flask for the middle of the night searches in my early career, and now I have to abandon my wife and daughters at any time of the day or night, and often without warning."
3 sets of parents appeared at the Isle of Wight Magistrates Court last week due to their children failing to attend school. The court saw the parents prosecuted by the Isle of Wight Council for unexplained absences, with one girl's attendance falling as low as 9% a term. Defending her parents, Barry Arnott said, "This is the worst case I have dealt with in 25 years. In fact, when I was given the pie chart, I thought there must have been a mistake." The court heard how the girl had grown much larger than her mother, and as a result she was physically unable to force her child to go to school after she outright refused. In a statement, the mother said, "I am trying my best. I've taken away her phone, internet access, and I've tried to stop her going out." Mr. Arnott said, "I have explained to the child that if she doesn't improve, her mother will go to prison." Another family found themselves in court when they took their 3 children on an unauthorised trip for the 3rd time in a year. 2 of the children have epilepsy and were taken out of school for a trip to Disneyland Paris, paid for by a charity that provides financial assistance to families with disabled children to help them experience a normal life. Mr. Arnott said, "There would be no way a family like this could afford to go away to somewhere as nice as Disneyland if they went during the summer holidays." A 3rd family appeared before the courts charged with withholding their children from school due to being constantly late. The family, whose children suffer with learning difficulties, detailed how they struggled to get their children to go to school on time, missing as much as 17 hours a term. The mother said, "Getting him in can be a real issue when he's having an episode." The court heard that the boy had complained of bullying, but the school had not taken it seriously enough, resulting in his unwillingness to attend. The first family was fined £120, the second family £120 per child, and the third fined £185 and ordered to undertake 30 hours of unpaid work.
Police are investigating a spate of daytime burglaries after thieves made off with wallets, phones and cash from homes. Across 2 days, 2 homes were burgled in Seaview and Nettleston. There was a 3rd failed burglary attempt in Bembridge. An Isle of Wight police spokesperson said, "We know it's tempting to leave doors and windows unlocked and open in the summer when it's hot, but it's important to remember this can give burglars the perfect opportunity to enter your home. If you're upstairs or out of the room, even just for a few minutes, close them and help shut burglars out. Of course, burglars still target homes when the doors and windows are locked."
More than 100 swimmers swam the Solent for charity last week. The Ian Pratt Motor Neuron Disease Foundation saw 54 people brave the crossing and 58 swam for West Wight Sports and Community Centre. Over 3 days, the Ian Pratt MND Foundation swimmers swam the stretch between Players Beach in Ryde and Stokes Bay, Gosport. Event organiser Tony Bray said, "I became friends with Ian in 2013 when I first completed the swim as a personal challenge. I decided to make it an annual event to make a legacy for Ian and his family. Numbers have steadily increased each year since. This year the event reached a remarkable milestone when a swimmer completed the 250th crossing. Early estimates of money raised is around £35,000, meaning that since 2013 more than £200,000 has been raised for motor neuron disease, split between research into curing the disease and families living with MND. Ian and his family greeted the swimmers and a team of 27 kayakers accompanying them, alongside safety boats from Rebel Marine, Paul Wade and Adam Morse. The WWSCC swimmers crossed the Solent on Saturday morning, leaving Hurst Castle at high water at 6:15 a.m. The swimmers had travelled from Yarmouth in the Needles pleasure boat Yarmouth Rose. The first swimmer back, Charles Bagot, reached Colwell at about 6:45 a.m, with the others following soon after. They included Island MP Bob Seeley, taking part for the second time. Claire Griffin of WWSCC said, "It was an excellent event, thanks to our amazing swimmers, kayakers, safety boat crews and volunteers. So far, the swim has raised more than £13,000 and we expect the total to increase significantly. The Solent Swim is the biggest fundraiser for the WSCC, an independent charity."
There were Vikings, pirates, dinosaurs, and even an appearance from the White Knight at Newport Carnival. On a hot, sunny evening last Thursday, large crowds gathered to witness the spectacle of colourful floats and costumes galore parading through the town centre. Some groups took inspiration from the silver screen, with entries based on popular films such as Beauty and the Beast and Jurassic Park. Chelsea Bloomfield, 15, who was dressed as Lumiere the Candlestick, said, "This year has been our biggest yet, it's been so much fun." Others chose to celebrate the island's heritage. St Helens Sports and Carnival chose an Edwardian theme for the village's 120th birthday, while Sandown Carnival sported a giant birthday cake for Sandown's 130th. Elsewhere there were sea creatures from Summerfield's primary school, angels and devils from Ride Carnival, and some popular board game pieces from the Girl Guides. Barton Primary School pupils also added some festival spirit with bright hippie costumes inspired by the historic early Isle of Wight festivals. Barton's welfare officer, Charmaine Armiger, said, "The kids absolutely love it. They tie-dyed all their own t-shirts. We've had special assemblies to show them the music that was around back then. They really enjoyed it. There was a real sense of community and togetherness at the carnival, which was summed up by Ray Woolridge, who helped with the Pan-Community Pirate Ship. He said, "It's just about trying to get the community involved more because carnivals are dying. Unless we get the support, unless we get the youngsters interested, we'll lose the carnivals in years to come, so that's why we did it." That's the end of part one of your Talking Newspaper for today. It's goodbye, best wishes from Howard.
And from Linda.
Hello, I'm Sarah, and here we are again with Weekender.
Hello, I'm Paul.
And here's the first letter from Hans Bromwich of Cowes. The front page story of the County Press of the 26th of July has raised widespread concerns. Hampshire Constabulary has confirmed its investigation is still ongoing and it cannot comment, but it said, "We're working towards a resolution with both parties." While not wanting to comment specifically on this case, there is nevertheless a much wider and perhaps more urgent issue which needs addressing. Does the Isle of Wight hunt and its activities represent a threat to public safety? Does Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary have a duty of care to protect the public?
There's a letter from Natasha Dix, Head of Waste Services, Isle of Wight Council. The headline is, "We're not bullies." We would like to thank the County Press for publishing the recent response issued regarding our recent work to educate holiday let and bed and breakfast owners who may not have been aware of their duty of care regards waste disposal. However, the Isle of Wight Council does not agree the letters sent to them are any way bullying and threatening. The media inquiry received from the County Press did not reference this either. The letters sent out reminded residents of their legal obligation to safely contain and dispose of any waste produced as a waste of their business, which is classified as commercial waste producers, and up to check all such properties of up-to-date waste transfer notes. It is important we treat all businesses fairly. The letters provided asked residents to provide evidence of their commercial collections as per the waste regulations, etc., which states a transferee and a transferee must keep a transfer note or a copy of it, for at least 2 years and produce it to an officer of the Environment Agency or of a waste collection authority on demand within 7 days. The council also offers waste collection services for businesses. However, it was made clear they are in no way obligated to use the council's commercial waste services. Other registered waste carriers are available. With reference to where properties are of mixed use, example, have owners' accommodation or are a bed and breakfast the owners live in, the council has asked for evidence of the commercial waste element being separately collected from the household waste. Bed and breakfasts are still entitled to the household collection service for the permanent residents or owners' accommodation, as long as they can provide evidence they have a commercial collection in place. The household subscription service covers the business legal requirements to be able to produce a waste transfer note. And there's an editor's footnote. Although the terms bullying and threatening were not put to the council, Mr. Best's comment that it was unfair was. He made the other claims later. Since the story, other businesses have contacted us to complain.
Here's the headline for the next letter: Work for Wider Community in West Wight. The letter's from Carly Wire of Freshwater. I'm interested to hear Mr. Cowley's alternative proposal regarding the West Wight Schools consultation, one that actually keeps the cohort of children at All Saints together. Oh, wait. Clearly he doesn't care about those children, just the ones who attend Yarmouth, as he wants the All Saints children dispersed across the other 4 schools, none of which are within reasonable or safe walking distance. He doesn't seem to deem this disruptive to their education, though. The most logical decision has been made. The proposal keeps all children of both cohorts together, enabling peer support through the transition. It enables the good leadership of the Federation to grow within a modernised school building, a benefit to all the children of West Wight now and in the future. It keeps a school where the majority of children live on the biggest site, which offers more opportunity for outdoor learning and environmentally friendly opportunities. This is an exciting opportunity for 2 communities and school families to work together and create an outstanding learning environment. The survey was qualitative, not quantitative, like the first one. Otherwise, do nothing would have been the proposal, as 202 responses during the first consultation gave that as its preferred option. However, it has been clear since February, do nothing was not an option. This proposal financially secures the future of the Federation, as it will receive more money once the All Saints cohort join, potentially enough for a head teacher per site, as well as additional resources and learning support. The All Saints site is also the only site with government funding to expand and improve. I think it's time Mr. Cowley stopped dividing the West Wight community with these continuous misleading press releases and started working collaboratively to make a positive difference to children and families.
We now move on to Wight Memories. This is an article by Alan Stroud, Isle of Wight in the 90s, the 1890s. Colin Fairweather and myself have been collecting glass plate negatives for the last 40 years or so. The pieces date from the 1880s to the 1940s and have come from all manner of places. Some are lovingly stored in their original boxes, safe from the elements, while others were found water damaged and beyond saving. Luckily, these 2 images are from a collection that was not only stored properly, but was meticulously labelled by the unknown photographer, a rare occurrence. I will finish the article, then try and explain what the pictures show. The picture below comes from a collection of photographs taken at Pam Farm, Newport, 1893. The picture was taken on Thursday, February 9th, and the handwritten label reads "Patent Safe" on the bridge at Pan Farm. They are sat on a bridge just down from today's Price Garage in Pan Lane, near its junction with Home Mead. Pater and Saff wouldn't last long there today, as the comparison photo shows. The other scene, though much changed, is not too difficult to work out. It was taken on Monday, October the 1st, 1894, and shows the crossroads at Cowbourne, looking south from Elm Lane. If the photograph had been taken 6 months earlier, it would have shown the original Sun Inn on the right, but in April that year the building was destroyed in a fire. On the left is the site of today's Cowbourne Garage. So very quickly, the first picture is a gentleman and his dog on this bridge at Pan Farm, and the second photo is Cowbourne Crossroads, showing the garage, or where the garage is now.
This is an article with the headline "Busy Time for Island's 999 Services," and it's by Superintendent Sarah Jackson from Hampshire Constabulary. It's been a busy time for policing on the island already this summer, not least for our officers and staff who've been dealing with a range of complex and often distressing incidents. Wootton became the focus of unprecedented news reporting following the disappearance of a young woman who had been working at the Little Canada Activity Centre. Missing person inquiries are often very difficult and draw a lot of questions from our communities around what we do, how we investigate them, and whether we're doing the right thing. This case attracted nationwide media coverage. Hours were spent searching and knocking on doors and reviewing CCTV, and we are incredibly grateful for the efforts of volunteers at the Coast Guard, Wight Search and Rescue, and Hampshire Search and Rescue. Wight Search and Rescue is a dedicated group on whom we often rely in such cases. Despite the best efforts of everyone, the searches were sadly stood down following the discovery of a body. We have also been seeking help from the public following a serious collision in Bridlesford Road in Newport towards the end of June. A woman in her 20s suffered serious injuries and remains in hospital receiving treatment. I hope the local community can be reassured that our inquiries have progressed significantly, and indeed we have now charged someone. This summer we've been sharing an important message from our colleagues at Counter-Terrorism Police about staying safe, particularly when holidaying abroad. If you're leaving the Isle of Wight to sun yourself outside of the UK, although why would you want to leave our beautiful island, we advise you to check the travel advice on the Foreign and Commonwealth Office website. I would also remind holidaymakers and residents alike to ensure they secure their homes and property during the hot weather. We would ask people enjoying the summer on the island to stay safe. We had an incident at the Pan Chalk Pit in July in which a young person was injured and was taken to hospital. While we will be patrolling, I would urge parents to ensure children do not frequent the area.
There's an article here that Bob Seeley has written, News from Westminster. Making progress. When I became your MP, I promised to make sure our voice was listened to in Whitehall and Westminster. It was never going to be a quick process. For decades we've been overlooked, while in practical terms we've never been recognised as an island the way the Scottish Islands have. They received a Scottish Island Needs Allowance. There is no such English equivalent. Given this history, I'm wary of raising hopes unduly. However, there are tangible signs that progress is being made. For council funding, Whitehall is now for the first time accepting that we are an island and is examining the extra costs. When Boris Johnson visited the island recently to see our shipbuilding success story in East Cowes, he accepted the need for an island deal. Research from the University of Portsmouth suggests the annual additional cost of local government services to the island factor is over £5 million. Health Secretary Matt Hancock also recently acknowledged the island bears additional costs in providing health care and agreed to meet and discuss plans to further integrate public sector functions to release money to support frontline services. The island's NHS team estimates these costs approach £10 million extra a year. The Department for Transport has promised tens of millions of pounds for repairs to Ryde Pier. This is great news for Island Line users. In addition, last summer I persuaded the Arts Council England to give the island priority status so that our many arts and culture groups could have easier access to funds and help them grow. And congratulations to the new Carnival Company for a great Mardi Gras in Ryde in June. We are working to ensure Adventure Quays in East Cowes remains the centre of island shipbuilding. We are pressing government to agree a sale to the council of the site. I also want to take control of Camp Hill so we can build affordable homes for islanders in appropriate amounts, avoiding greenfield development. We're entering a new era in national government. Boris is now PM. Some names and faces in government have changed, but my task and my determination remain the same. And now we've got an article on My View by Matthew Chatfield. Who needs London when life's a Ryde beach? You must have read the story about those poor blighters in London who waited to go to the local Lido for 3 hours on the hottest day of the year and got turned away. The police even turned up to stop people fighting to get in. I was thinking of that Lido the same afternoon on the way back from work. When I got home I pulled on my bathing shorts, grabbed a towel and a winsome companion and set off through the nearby park for the beach. I live in Ryde, in what we are told is one of the most deprived wards in the county. So let me tell you the one thing we are not deprived of, a beach. And Ryde Sands on a hot summer's evening is arguably one of the best places in the world for casual swimming. First, the temperature. Growing up in Sandown, I learnt at an early age that the water, when you first get in, is eye-wateringly cold even on the hottest day. The wisdom of age and a move to Ryde has taught me it doesn't have to be this way. Time your swim perfectly with the incoming tide, as I did, and you will receive with Sybaric delight the bath-like swirls of seawater heated by the huge expanse of warmer sand that has been cooking in the sun all afternoon. Next, the view. Yes, there's always the Matterhorn or Machu Picchu if you like postcards. Well, I'm going to stick my neck out for the sun sinking over Ryde Pier, while the wispy pink clouds drift across the sky and the whole of the eastern Solent basks in its ruddy glow. The night we went we even had a big cruise ship slipping by to add a bit of romance. Then the wildlife. I'll skip over the privilege of swimming in one of the most highly protected natural habitats in the world and recall how as I drifted in the balmy waters, looking at my toes, I could hear the screaming of the swallows high above and watch them swooping to pick insects from the air. Fronds of green seagrass drifted lazily by, and a few tiny glittering fish twinkled in the shallow pools as we waded out. We shared our evening dip with a seagull who, pecking flying ants on the limpid surface, kept a weather eye out on us sea mammals as we bobbed idly in its domain, but otherwise seemed indifferent to our presence. I thought of those poor sweltering Londoners stuck in their city, the sun beating down on them as they waited in vain to pay for their turn standing in a tepid bath of malodorous water. I thought about it long enough to realise that today I was the lucky one, the one privileged to live in the absolutely perfect spot. Maybe the streets of paved with gold in London But what use is gold when you want a beach?
Now, over to what's on. What's coming up this weekend, of course, is the Chale Show, Saturday and Sunday. From 10 a.m. to 5 p.m, entry £10 and children go free, with a whole range of stalls and activities for everyone to enjoy.
Right, we've got 3 different places action on hearing loss is going to be at, if you like, Porter Court, Sheltered College, Flipthorpe Gardens Lake, between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Wednesday. The Arthur Webster Clinic, Langard Manor Road, Shanklin, between 10 a.m. to noon next Friday. That's the 9th. It'll also be in Townhouse Surgery Ryde on Monday between 2 and 3:30 p.m. for its monthly drop-in. And it will be at Brightstone Methodist Church on Tuesday between 10 a.m. and noon for its monthly drop-in. On Thursday it moves to Freshwater Methodist Church between 2 and 4 p.m. Free advice, batteries, cleaning and retubing of NHS hearing aids. No appointment necessary. For information, please phone 529 533.
The headline is Classical Musicians Return to Shalfleet for Fundraiser. A brother and sister, musical child prodigies, who first played in Shalfleet nearly 20 years ago, will be reunited for another concert in the village. Classical musicians Ed and Catherine Clark first performed at the village hall at the ages of 11 and 8, then again at St Michael's Church as university students. Catherine is a renowned viola player who graduated from the Royal College of Music and then studied at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama. Ed is currently the head of classics at Highfield School, Hampshire, and has published his own Latin textbook. The duo will return to perform at St Michael's at 6 p.m. next Friday, August the 9th, to raise money for the Church Window Restoration Fund in Shalfleet. Tickets will be available at the door.
Andre Rieu's summer concert to be screened on the Isle of Wight. Shall We Dance, the summer concert of Andre Rieu, the King of Waltz, will be screened at Ventnor Art Club this week. Returning to his hometown of Maastricht, Andre will be performing his usual summer cinema concert, filmed in the town's historic square. The concert features Andre's 60-piece Johann Strauss orchestra, world-renowned sopranos and tenors, and a number of surprise guests. Island residents can join Andre for a night of music in the comfort of the Arts Club on Thursday at 7 p.m. Once again, I'm delighted to welcome fans from across the UK into my hometown of Maastricht, said Andre. It's a magical way of seeing what, for me, every year is a wonderful occasion. I want to see everyone waltzing in the aisles. Hosted by Good Morning Britain's Charlotte Hawkins, the concert will also take the audiences behind the scenes with a stage-side interview with Andre. Another one, Ride Recorded Music Society meets on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. with a performance of These I Have Loved by Trevor Mitchell at the Methodist Church, Garfield Road.
Another item, what's on, the headline is Paraplegic Natasha's 20k Ocean Challenge Boost. A party has raised more than £20,000 to help support an island paraplegic sailor to cross the Atlantic Ocean later this year. Around 1,500 revellers descended on Yarmouth for the annual Taz party hosted by John Calcutt. The money raised will help Miss Isle Natasha Lambert from Cowes to achieve her dream. Singing sensation Jessica Richardson A Voice Kids finalist performed at the event, which included a spectacular fireworks display. The event was supported by the Yarmouth One Design class at the Royal Solent Yacht Club. Mr. Callcutt said, "It was a fantastic night, and Natasha is an amazing lady whom we're thrilled to support. She steers her boat by sucking and blowing on a straw, and will be attempting to cross the Atlantic in November, which is one of the gutsiest things I've ever known. With someone of her disabilities, it's an incredibly courageous thing to attempt, and it's an unbelievable challenge to even contemplate."
Well done. This is something else that's on for your interest. All the fun of the fair at Wolverton. It is a case of many happy returns for Wolverton Manor Garden Fair. This brilliant event punctuates the summer for me, and I look forward to trolling along once again. This year on Saturday, August the 31st, and the following day, it celebrates its 20th anniversary. And as the thousands of you who have visited over the years, it is just not about gardening, there's entertainment and refreshment too. Elizabethan reactors bring dancing, cooking and crafts from the past back to life, and there is also music from last orders. There will be dog shows, wildlife and conservation experts, alpacas and donkeys, poultry exhibits, a farmer's market, wood carving, traditional wool spinning, archery, falconry displays, kayaking on the moat, tree climbing, classic and military vehicles, and vintage fairground amusements. That's not to mention the Isle of Wight Bat Hospital, West Wight alpacas, and of course Randini. While it is not all about gardening and gardenilia, there is a hefty chunk of that at Wolverton, and it gives both island and mainland specialists a chance to showcase their plants and to use an opportunity to see them in their prime and buy them for our gardens in one place instead of trawling around the island. Thanks to the continuing generosity of the owners of this historic Jacobean house, there is not only the opportunity of another show, but to contribute to the invaluable work of Age UK Isle of Wight. Organisers are hoping to beat last year's total of 6,000 people through the gate, which raised an impressive $22,000 for Age UK and another £800 each to the Food Bank, Cows, Sea Scouts, White Brady Bunch, Care in the Garden and the Salvation Army.
2 island runners have smashed course records in this year's St George's race on Sunday. The race, organised by the Isle of Wight Road Runners, attracted 165 runners. It was a challenge for them all, a relentless undulating beast of a course over 10 miles, peppered with some epic climbs which started from St George's School and marked St George's Day the following day, Monday. This year's winner was Gary Marshall in a speedy 58 minutes 46 seconds to break the previous course record by 8 seconds and last year's winner by more than a minute. Gary, age 39, a member of Wootton Bridge Runners, got himself noticed on the island running scene last year when he won the Isle of Wight Marathon in his first ever competitive run. The next islanders home were Ride Harriers Dave Hunt and Adam Tuck, who came 3rd and 5th respectively. The quickest member of the IWRR was Stuart Backhouse, who came 6th, 3 places and 1 minute 40 seconds better than last year. This 48-year-old also won his Veterans Vet 40 category. In the ladies' race, last-minute entry, Laura Brackley, aged 35, of Ride Harriers, was victorious and 10th overall. Her fast time set a new course record, chopping 17 seconds off the previous best.
This Island Life. A new book showcases rich island history. This is an article by Richard Wright. Memories included in the county press's Wight Memories columns make up the bulk of this island life. A coffee table book which brings together the columns written and photographs collected by local historian authors, Alan Stroud and Brian Greening. The county press was pleased to give them the opportunity to sift interest from the multi-million words published over the decades, but it is the photographs mated with them that really lift this book. There are extraordinary weather events, the Great Snow of 1881, which half buried Newport Guildhall, and Queen Victoria's Jubilee of 1897, and people perched on the ridges of roofs for a glimpse of the monarchs. But it is living memory stuff that makes up the bulk of this book, from the great flood of 1960, which submerged much of Newport, to Dillon sinking the island in 1969 with the first of the two great pop festivals. Also there are names gone but not forgotten, such as Ray, Witcher, Yelf Brothers, Dukes, John Cheath and Co. and the rest. This book should help them live happily in our memories. This Island Life is published by Now and Then Books, priced at $11.95. The authors will sign copies next Friday between 10 and noon in the County Press Office in Newport.
Festival devotees called for museum. Isle of Wight Festival devotees, the legacy group All Wight Now, has appealed for the creation of a permanent heritage visitor centre to celebrate the iconic festival. The group wants a Woodstock-style heritage site to honour the early Isle of Wight festivals of 1968 to 1970, which attracted record crowds and had a huge cultural impact. The group believes the festival deserves to be paid tribute to in the same way that the famous Woodstock Festival of 1969 has, with the creation of Bethel Woods Centre for the Arts. The $150 million facility was open in 2006 on the exact site of the Woodstock Festival in New York State. Co-promoter of the Isle of Wight Festival from 1968 to 1970, Ray Folk, said, "We had 3 festivals that left a major imprint on the wider festival movement and on cultural life in Britain. There was only one Woodstock, and frankly it was a bit of a mess. A permanent visitor centre would be a fantastic goal for the island, and it has my support." The new chair of the Legacy Group, Jonathan Bacon, said, "It's somehow ridiculous that the island has no permanent centre to do what we set out in our mission statement as a group, to educate, inspire and entertain the widest possible audience, and preserve the musical and cultural legacy of the historic 1968, 69 and 70 Isle of Wight festivals." Another member, Peter Harrigan, was PR director for the festival in 69 and 70. He said, "Those original festivals may have been controversial back in the day, but they are now regarded as cultural jewels. Visitor centre and a performing arts centre will add a new dimension to the island. It would provide a valuable and much needed world-class cultural space and add to the island's tourism and cultural infrastructure." All Wight Now is hosting the $1 Million Bash on August the 31st at the county showground in Northwood, starring Wishbone Ash.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement with that. I was at those first 3 festivals. Brilliant memories. Yachtsman, Port and Vix to start new league campaigns. Confidence and caution ahead of Wessex kick-off. The manager of the island's 3 Sydenham's Wessex clubs all going to start the new season tomorrow with renewed vim and vigour, quiet confidence and a set of realistic aims. In the Premier, Cow Sports under new boss Steve Rutter will be working hard to avoid the stress of another relegation dogfight. while the Division 1 Newport and East Cowes Vics aim to improve on her top half finishes with strong promotion finishes. And also, it's not carnage, pollarding works. It is a disagreement that crops up as soon as the chainsaws bark into life. But these pictures should do something to allay the fears of those who each February are horrified by the carnage of pollarding. Just 5 months ago, these Ryde Esmeralda London plane trees were reduced, as they are every year, to trunk and branch stumps. Now they have recovered, and their canopies, which without work would be 50 feet tall, shady sprawlers are fluffy green balls. Pollarding is a technique that goes back to ancient times, when it was a way of harvesting firewood every few years and retaining a living tree. But it is a method that is valuable in the garden if you want a species that would normally be unsuitable because of its size.
This is news of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, who'll take part in a sailing race off the Isle of Wight next Friday. Prince William and his wife Catherine will host the inaugural regatta, the King's Cup, to raise awareness and funds for 8 charities. The event, sponsored by Land Rover, will see the Duke and Duchess go head-to-head as skippers of individual sailing boats in an 8-boat regatta race. The winning team will be awarded the King's Cup, a historic trophy first presented by King George V at Cowes Royal Yacht Squadron in 1920. The 8 boats will each represent one of the charities that are being supported this year by their Royal Highnesses. Members of the public are very welcome to watch the racing from 10 a.m. from the Royal Yacht Squadron start line. The parade will also have a grandstand, which is free to enter, where people can watch the racing from. There will be family activities such as face painting, jugglers and stilt walkers on site, as well as places to buy refreshments. The winning team will be awarded the King's Cup trophy at a public prize-giving ceremony in the early afternoon along Cowes seafront towards Egyptian Point. The royal couple will present the trophy.
Car crash victim strides forward in her recovery. Car crash victim Becky Wall is now back on the island after making huge progress in her recovery. Becky, 28, was left in a coma after her car collided with a BMW on Biddlesford Road on June 27th. She had been on life support in Southampton General Hospital. The family shared the news earlier this week that she had improved enough to come off life support, but her progress has since continued. The family said on Tuesday night, "Becky is now back on the island. The last few days have seen some massive progress. We've had her sat in a special medical chair. We get full tracking with her face and eyes around the room when we walk and talk. We get smiles and giggles when she finds something funny, and frowns and the odd tear when something annoys her. She is trying her hardest to talk, but just can't get it out yet. The nurses have heard the odd words, so fingers crossed that's coming soon. Becky can swallow, and we are hoping being Neil by now will end soon. She is being kept occupied with family visits and friends and the Harry Potter movies on TV. An online fundraiser has raised £13,000 to help Becky and her daughter Leanna, 6. The man charged in relation to the crash was remanded in custody by Isle of Wight magistrates until August the 12th. Benjamin Enswhistle, 31, of West Lake Avenue, Lake, faces 4 charges: causing injury through dangerous driving, driving while uninsured, driving while disqualified, and failing to stop and report an accident.
More news of Shalfleet. Shalfleet Primary School has unveiled its new nautical-themed play area, which has replaced a wooden boat structure built more than 2 decades ago. With many RNLI lifeboat crew members' children being taught at the school, teachers and parents were keen to maintain its nautical links. The school's PTA, local community, Yarmouth Harbour Commission and Shalfleet Parish Council worked together to fundraise. The 10 metres by 7 metre structures was transported to the Isle of Wight for free by Wight Link and constructed on site. The opening ceremony included a prayer, songs and a nautical themed dance.
Council sets out new plan to meet targets. The Isle of Wight Council set out a very clear 3-year plan to meet its targets, but some concerns have been raised. A corporate plan setting out targets for 2019 to 2022 was approved by full council last Wednesday. It is an update on the original plan for 2017 to 2020 and sets out new and continuing goals and targets for the council. Councillor Julie Jones-Evans said the way it's presented is very clear. We can hold each cabinet member to account for what they ought to be achieving. However, she raised concerns about a number of areas. The proportion of the working age population qualified at NVQ level 2 or higher, equivalent of GCSE grades A to C, has dropped. The figure was 83% in 2015, with a target of 85% by 2022, but it dropped to 74% in 2018. The average gross weekly wage for island residents also dropped from £492.50 in 2015 to £480.90 in 2018, against a target of £525 by 2022. Councillor Jones-Evans said these are really concerning stats. I'm glad we've got a very clear plan. I'm sure by achieving what's written down we can turn this around. Some strides forward have been made, notably a reduction in the number of permanent admissions to care homes and an increase in the proportion of residents supported at home. Residents satisfied with how the council runs services increased from 39% to 58%.
The headline is from Ventnor with Love, Bond film crew spotted. Crew members from the highly anticipated but wholly secretive Bond 25 movie was spotted in Ventnor. Filming off the coast of the Isle of Wight from July the 21st onwards, keen-eyed 007 fans caught sight of a naval ship and a helicopter landing in conjunction with the filming. Daniel Craig is set to reprise his role as the iconic Secret Service agent alongside recent Academy Award winner Rami Malek. The expected plot for the film will see a retired Bond called back into action, with a number of familiar faces making a return. Family-run business, the Eversley Hotel in Ventnor accommodated the film crew. When the county press scrutinised the occasion, Karen Stritton from the Eversley Hotel joked, "I could tell you all about it, but then I'll have to kill you." It would appear the specifics were for Karen's eyes only.
Ah, very good. Well, we've finished now, so it's goodbye from Paul.
And it's goodbye from Sarah.
Sight for Wight August newsletter. Message from the Chair of Trustees. Welcome to our summer newsletter. All staff and volunteers have been busy. In May, we were delighted to welcome the High Sheriff, Jeff Underwood, to Millbrook House. He was introduced to the trustees and staff, had a tour of the available facilities, and then shared a light lunch with everybody. It was a very enjoyable occasion, and Jeff was extremely interested in all we are trying to achieve. Also in May, we had our Low Vision Day, when aids for visual impairment were displayed and explained by representatives. It was so nice to see so many members and volunteers there, enjoying the occasion. We were lucky with the weather and could sit outside with our teas and coffees. In June, we had the Volunteers Summer Tea Party. A delightful afternoon was provided, beautifully laid tables, delicious food and entertainment. It was great fun looking at the fancy dress costumes, this year based on the theme of musicals. This also provided an opportunity to say goodbye to Michelle Taylor, our retiring Volunteers manager, and to thank her for her much appreciated loyalty and commitment. We are delighted to welcome Susan Early into the role of Volunteers manager. She is already proving to be a real asset to us. We had the members' lunch at Ryde Castle Hotel, another well-organised, enjoyable occasion. I hope some of you have had a chance to look at our updated website and find the changes helpful. All our many activities and a useful diary of events are listed there, plus access to past newsletters. As the working party to decide on the future of Millbrook House was such a success, another working party is going to look at transport needs and provision for members. I hope all those who have volunteered to be part of this working party will find it an informative and interesting project. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to thank all staff and volunteers for their ongoing generosity of time and effort supporting Sight for Wight. Sue Bungay, Chair of Trustees.
Summer message from the CEO. Summer holiday season is here, so many of our volunteers and staff are enjoying some well-earned holiday time in August. With fewer people available to support activities this month, there will be a break, as usual, in regular activities that are hosted at Millbrook House, like coffee mornings, low vision drop-in sessions and Thursday group meetings. However, there are a couple of special summer outings, reported later in the newsletter by our members' service manager, and we expect the Tuesday evening swimming group, strollers and striders walking activities to take place as usual. Member services. There are some great reports later in this edition from recent outings and activities. Special thanks go to our friends at the Royal Victoria Yacht Club, Fishbourne, who hosted another highly successful and greatly enjoyed Open Day on the 6th of July. Following on from this day and the enthusiasm for being on the water shown by our members, Laura, our Members Services Manager, is exploring further opportunities with another sailing group to see if we can arrange a day's sailing around the Solent. 2020 Vision. As mentioned by our Chair, Sue Bungay, we were honoured to welcome this year's High Sheriff, Jeff Underwood, to Millbrook House recently. This visit followed a successful application to the High Sheriff's Trust for a grant towards our 2020 Vision project. We were delighted to receive our first local community contribution to the project by way of a £500 grant from the High Sheriff's Trust. The High Sheriff showed great interest in our current work and forward plans, and because of his personal interest in technology, was very interested in several of our high-tech aids, some of which will be incorporated into our education project and demonstrated on the 2020 Vision Outreach vehicle. When we asked Jeff to tell us about the role of a High Sheriff, he explained, "There is a High Sheriff in every county in England and Wales, and their history and tradition goes back before the Norman conquest. The office is the oldest royal appointment. The modern-day High Sheriff has a very different role and function to that of his or her ancient ancestors, but nonetheless plays an important role in our 21st century society." Jeff expressed his pleasure in having the opportunity to learn much more about the island community and appreciating the huge amount of goodwill that existed within the community, exemplified by the positive achievements of so many island charities, supported by many more volunteers who give so generously of their time. It is a great start to our community fundraising to receive the support of the High Sheriff's Trust, and we hope that their confidence in our plans will encourage other businesses, community groups and individually to similarly support the project. So, with fundraising underway, I will be contacting many other community groups in the coming weeks and months to garner their support for the 2020 Vision project. To thank all supporters of the 2020 Vision project, whether local businesses, community groups or individuals, in addition to receiving a letter of thanks, all supporters will be acknowledged both on our website and within the 2020 Vision as platinum, gold, silver or bronze donors as follows. Platinum community or corporate is a donation of $2,500 or more. Gold community or corporate supporter £1,000 or more. Silver community or corporate £500 or more. Bronze community or corporate £250 or more. Platinum individual supporter £250 or more. Gold individual supporter £100 or more. Silver individual supporter £50 or more. And a bronze individual supporter £25 or more. Perhaps you can help us achieve our 2020 vision. If you are involved with any community, church or social group, would you like to get involved? All help with this project will be much appreciated, whether it's volunteering as an ambassador for Sight for Wight, speaking on our behalf to island community groups about our work and encouraging them to support us, or whether it's holding a cake bake sale, challenge event or quiz to raise money. For anyone volunteering as an ambassador, we provide full support, resources and training. For those wishing to fundraise directly on our behalf, we can support you with materials, guidance and publicity. Personally, I have committed to being a platinum individual supporter and have pledged to raise over £250 through holding bake and plant sales and through culling my collection of books and CDs at home with a Zip-It sale. If you would like to get involved in any way, whether by raising awareness or raising funds, please get in touch. For those who share my enthusiasm for education and lifelong learning, you will find an update on the progress of the education programme as a separate article later in the newsletter.
Staff team member changes at Millbrook House.
Following the recent retirement of our former volunteers manager Michelle, many of you will by now know that the successful applicant for the post, who scored most highly in the interview process, was a face already well known to you at Millbrook House, Susan Early. We are delighted to welcome Susan to the role of volunteers manager and pleased to report that she is relishing the challenge of this vital role, bringing fresh ideas and building on Michelle's achievements. The search for an administrative apprentice to provide particular support with fundraising and general administration continues, so visitors or callers to Millbrook House from September may be greeted by a new voice. Miriam Tong, Chief Executive, Sight for Wight.
The Sight for Wight 100 Club. Thank you to our new 100 Club members who joined this quarter of the 100 Club. There's still a few numbers left, so if you wish to join to have a chance of winning our monthly prize, please call 522205 or email Lisa on finance@iwsb.org.uk. The more people who join, the bigger the prize. It's just £2 a month per number. Could be 29 or 92, which are both available. Be your lucky number. Congratulations to this quarter's winners who have given permission to be named in the newsletter. M. Ward and Lisa Hollyhead.
Members' Summer Lunch. On the 20th of June, members enjoyed their annual summer party, which this year was hosted at Ryde Castle. Approximately 20 members attended, plus volunteers, staff, our CEO Miriam, and Chair of Trustees Sue Bungay. The food and service were extremely good, and our Member Services Manager did an excellent job organising the event. Sight for Wight were pleased to be able to purchase the first round of drinks for all attendees, as a thank you for joining us for the lunch. Looking ahead, we will be holding our Christmas members party on the 12th of December. More details to follow nearer the time.
Sight for Wight banners. We are delighted to have 3 new banners which will be displayed on a 28-day rotation on our wall along Carisbrooke Road. We are hoping the banners will help raise awareness of who we are and what we offer. Our current banners promote our member services, volunteers and a Protect Your Sight banner to encourage the wearing of sunglasses to protect your eyes from the harmful effects of ultraviolet rays from the sun.
2019 Annual Raffle. Just to let you know, our 2019 Annual Raffle is now up and running and tickets are selling fast. We have some excellent prizes including £100 cash, £50 Dress for Less voucher, luxury hamper and more. Tickets are £1 each or £5 for a book of 5 and available here at Millbrook House. Tickets will also be on sale at our summer events across the island. You can find out where we are this year in this newsletter. If you would like to purchase tickets, then please let me know and I will arrange for some to be sent out. The draw will take place on the 31st of October at Millbrook House during the Murder Mystery evening event, details of which follow below. This replaces our major Christmas raffle.
Murder Mystery event at Millbrook House. Sight for Wight is hosting a Murder Mystery evening at Millbrook House on Thursday the 31st of October. Whether you fancy yourself as a super sleuth or prefer to be more of an observer, high demand and limited places mean that tickets and tables of 4 will need to be booked in advance. Tickets at £10 per head may be reserved now and are an absolute bargain, as the ticket price will include a simple 2-course supper, complimentary glass of wine plus coffee and mints. Please phone us to reserve your seat or a table of 4 on 01983 522205. Chris Kane, Marketing, Communications and Fundraising Manager.
The next page is an advert for our summer 2019 Sight for Wight sunglasses competition. Sunglasses are £3 per pair or 2 pairs for £5. Protect your eyes and wear Sight for Wight sunglasses. To be in with a chance of winning a prize, take a photo wearing them against something eye-catching, amusing or unusual. The closing date is Friday the 27th of September. See our website for the entry form and the terms and conditions.
Royal Victoria Yacht Club Open Day. Saturday the 6th of July saw the Royal Victoria Yacht Club in Fishbourne opening its doors for the annual Open Day for people with disabilities. The event dates back to 1981 and every year is just as much fun as the last. This year was another busy event for the club. From fast ribs that sped round to Osborne Bay to wooden boats pottering up and down Wootton Creek, the yacht club members and volunteers ensured that everyone was able to access some form of boat. Shoreside, Sight for Wight members were treated to a barbecue, ice cream, tea and cakes. Our thanks go to everyone at the Royal Victoria Yacht Club for their hospitality and the huge amount of effort that goes into organising such an enjoyable and well-run event. We are already looking forward to next year.
Development of the 2020 Vision Education Programme. Great progress has been made with the development of a cross-curricular Sight for Wight outreach education programme for children at Key Stages 1, which is ages 5 to 7 years, focusing on sight loss and promoting an understanding of lifestyle choices that support avoidable sight loss. Sessions are being designed to engage and stimulate by encompassing a variety of learning styles that can be adapted for pupils of all abilities, for use both in the classroom and in the outside environment. Quite a change from my usual activities as CEO, but drawing on former education and lifelong learning experience gained over many years within a variety of heritage and charity settings, I have been greatly enjoying developing curriculum-linked education resources. I am most grateful to have received support from the volunteers of the Sight for Wight Education Working Party, with ideas for activities and in reviewing the materials developed. Education Working Party members are Maria Herbert, Head of School at Arreton Primary, Ruth Hollingshead, Trustee, Visually Impaired Member and Sight for Wight Volunteer, Terry Latimer, a recently retired qualified primary teacher with over 35 years classroom experience, Paul Rutherford, Trustee and former Chairman of Sight for Wight, who enjoyed a second career in education, Nikki Webb, a Learning Support Assistant for SEND, that's Special Educational Needs, pupils at Isle of Wight College. Particular thanks go to Ruth, Terry and Paul, who spent several hours with me the other evening, reviewing all of the material developed, including sessions linked to science, history, geography, maths, technology, literacy and music. Currently, we have 4 schools who are booked to try out all of the materials and resources under development in September and October this year. This will allow us to make any fine adjustments to the activities and resources before we offer the education programme more widely across the island from April 2020. I recently enjoyed a great morning with class teacher Mrs Hayley Roberts at Dover Park Primary School, Ryde, who was enormously helpful, reviewing all of the resources and activities developed, ensuring that vocabulary is pitched at an appropriate level for the age group, and that concepts will complement classroom learning. I also had the pleasure of meeting the class of children who will be taking part in the pilot sessions at Dover Park Primary in September. They were a fantastic bunch and enjoyed helping choose the names of the 4 wild animal characters, all of whom have special characteristics with regard to their sight, who are going to feature in the various sessions and activities of the Sight for Wight KS1 education programme. The 4 characters who are pictured below are a barn owl, a mole, a sea eagle and a brown long-eared bat. The children adored these tactile characters and thought it very amusing that, relative to each other, they are not at all to scale. The bat, who would, in real life, fit snugly in the cupped palm of your hand, is the largest of the 4 toy animals, with a beautifully furry body and velvety wings. What about the names the children chose? Well, all will be revealed after I've met and consulted with some more children who will be taking part in the pilot sessions in the autumn. In the meantime, my thanks to Mrs Roberts and the pupils who will be in her Year 2 class next term. I'm really looking forward to spending a full day with them all. We are going to have tremendous fun learning together at Dover Park Primary. For anyone interested in learning more about the Sight for Wight education programme, or who might have an interest in supporting the delivery of outreach sessions, please get in touch. Miriam Tong, CEO, Sight for Wight.
Beware of scams. Based on a recent experience at Sight for Wight, Finance Officer Lisa Hollyhead offers a reminder of the need to remain vigilant against scams. In Lisa's words, I answered a normal call at work last week from a man claiming to be from the meter reading team of our energy supplier here at Millbrook House. He gave me our name, address, and confirmed all he wanted to do was to check our reference number because they had a glitch in their system which meant the number had been overwritten. He said they could not issue our next bill until this matter was resolved and that the bill was now due. All of the information he gave was correct, including the billing date. Always very wary, I said OK, but he was to give me information. I was not going to tell him anything. He then confirmed our energy supplier but identified the wrong company, so I hung up. He called back and told me in a very forceful manner that I was obstructing his genuine intention of helping resolve this matter and that I needed to listen to him, so I hung up again. He again called back and claimed all he wanted to do was to check the reference number and I need give him no other information. He again claimed that he was the person trying to sort this out before the charity was fined for late payment. He sounded very convincing. He read me out the reference number he had, which was very similar to ours, but not the same. He stated that he thought just a couple of digits were wrong, and could I therefore confirm them. I very firmly said I was going to call our energy supplier immediately on the other line to confirm his story. Still he persisted in telling me I was being aggressive and that my behaviour of hanging up was being noted and he would report me to the charity for my behaviour. I stuck to my gut instinct and called our energy supplier. It was, of course, a scam. With our two unique reference numbers and my name, he could have switched our energy supply, pretending to be us, and routed our energy through his own company. Please, please, please be very wary. If you are ever in doubt, hang up on any suspicious caller, as I did. You can check directly with any supply company for confirmation of the legitimacy of any caller. This type of behaviour is very worrying and people can easily be so badly affected by it. Never give any information at all unless you are 100% certain you know who you are speaking to. If you have any doubt, hang up. If it is important, they will find a way to contact you. Lisa Hollyhead, Finance Officer.
Quiz night at the Waverley. Paul Rutherford, trustee, hosted his quarterly quiz at the Waverley pub on Thursday the 20th of June. It was a full house and we were delighted to have the melodic tones of Hannah Pereira, who sang a variety of songs to entertain the quizzers. Hannah very kindly donated her time. On the night, £172 was raised, and we would like to thank the Waverley staff and all the quizzers who came along to support us. We look forward to seeing you later in the year for another quiz.
Short Story Writing Competition 2019. Where does the time go? Despite the fact we are all enjoying the lovely sunshine at the moment, I am in the process of planning this year's short story writing competition. Without giving too much away, there will be a slight format change and the awards ceremony this year will feature more entertainment, so I am looking forward to planning and promoting this in the coming months. I can confirm two of our celebrity readers will be Kate Weston from Wave 105, who very kindly supported us last year, and for the fourth year we will have the lovely Idana Minghella. I am waiting for confirmation from two other celebrities. The theme for this year's competition will be the sound of Christmas. So if any of you would like to enter the competition, then please feel free to do so. The launch will be at the end of August and our website and social media pages will have all the information in due course, as well as the talking news. Chris Kane, Marketing, Communications and Fundraising Manager.
Visit to the Donkey Sanctuary. On the 3rd of May, a group of members enjoyed a visit to the Isle of Wight Donkey Sanctuary in Wroxall. We were met by Derek, the charity manager, for a guided tour. He told us about the sanctuary, the work they do, and the different personalities of each donkey. They care for over 90 donkeys and over 20 ponies, all of whom are either rescued or abandoned. After the tour, we visited the coffee shop for refreshments. The weather was good and it was an enjoyable morning.
Equipment and items for sale. Audiobook cassette tapes for sale. We have many new used audiobook cassette tapes that we would like to see go to good homes. All we ask is a small donation and you can take what you want. Many of the cassettes are still brand new and in their cellophane. If you're interested in having a look, then please call us on 522205 or pop in during our low vision drop-in session and coffee morning on Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. Pre-owned screen reader. We've been asked to sell on behalf of one of our members an enhanced vision screen reader. This particular model is the DaVinci Ultra HD 24 inch. It is in excellent condition and comes complete with original box and packaging, as well as all the manuals. It was purchased in September 2017 and has had very little use. The asking price is £700. Please call the member services team on 01983 522205 if interested to be put in contact with the seller.
Supper Club Summer Sensations. Beetroot soup, dairy-free and gluten-free. Delicious hot or chilled. Basic ingredients for 2 portions. 200 grams, approximately 4 small ready cooked beetroot, half an onion peeled, 1 gluten-free stock cube, vegetable or chicken, a dash of white wine vinegar or lemon juice to taste. This may not be required if the beetroot brought were dipped in malt vinegar. Method: put the beetroot and onion in a food blender, crumble the stock cube in a mug and add boiling water. Add a further mug of boiled water. Whiz the ingredients together for 30 seconds. Transfer the liquid mixture to a pan on the stove, bring to the boil, then simmer for a few minutes to cook the onion. Check and adjust the seasoning to taste, adding the vinegar or lemon and, if desired, some ground black pepper. This versatile soup is delicious hot or cold. Top tips. For a little indulgence, add a swirl of plain yoghurt or cream. This recipe is also delicious with the addition of half a roughly chopped avocado per serving to make more a substantial lunch. As beetroot vividly stain hands and work surfaces, place a little cling film on the work surface where you are handling or chopping. Lemon juice is very helpful in removing any stubborn beetroot stains.
Pottery session at Jubilee Stores. On Monday the 29th of April, members enjoyed a 2-hour pottery session at the Jubilee Stores in Newport. This session followed on from a very successful pottery morning in 2018, this time focusing on using the potter's wheel. The techniques to prepare the clay and set up the wheel were covered, and then it was on to throwing a pot. The process was quite tricky and very messy, but everyone was successful in using the wheel to create a pot. Many thanks to Claire at Jubilee Stores for another enjoyable pottery session.
Dress for Less. I am very happy to report that Dress for Less has been very busy. Our excellent reputation is growing and many new customers have been recommended to us. This means that we continue to stock and sell wonderful high quality items to both established customers and new. Many customers are using us for their special occasions, and we are delighted to subsequently see their photographs of the special day. We have received some wonderful feedback as well as a piece of wedding cake from our customers. As you read this, our first fashion evening will have taken place, and I hope that it will have been a great success. There will be a full write-up and photos in the next newsletter. We have recently started selling some of our kindly donated items on eBay. This has proven to be very successful and has provided us with the opportunity to broaden our customer base beyond the Isle of Wight, as well as let people know about Sight for Wight. Our online feedback has been 100% successful. We are delighted to welcome 2 new volunteers at Dress for Less, Barbara and Leslie. They both have previous experience in retail and have immediately become valued members of our wonderful and happy team. Sadly, due to other commitments, Pauline has decided to leave, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank her for all her hard work and volunteering. As I write this, we are also looking forward to another Dress for Less volunteer get-together at the Breeze at Island Harbour for an evening of fun and relaxation. Debbie Durbridge, Retail Manager.
Volunteer News Round. Welcome. We are pleased to welcome 2 new volunteers to our Dress for Less shop, along with several new inquiries which would help fill some of our current vacancies. Au revoir. Sadly, since the last edition, we have said goodbye to 1 volunteer from Dress for Less due to increased personal commitments and would like to wish her well for the future. Volunteer vacancies. We have volunteer vacancies in various roles, e.g. minibus escort, minibus drivers, sighted guides for our monthly walks, Dress for Less retail volunteers, and support with fundraising and events throughout the coming months. We continue to recruit for My Guide volunteers, which is on a short-term weekly basis, working with members who would like support with increasing their confidence, independence and working towards agreed goals. Full training will be provided. Volunteer Team Updates 2019 dates for your diary. 10th of September, 4:30pm to 6:30pm at Millbrook House. 10th of December, 4:30pm to 6:30pm at Millbrook House. All volunteers were recently invited to indicate their preferences for when the volunteer team updates are held. Once I have received all your questionnaires and collated the results, I will confirm in what format future updates will take place. Sighted Guide Training 2019 dates for your diary. 23rd of September, 15th of October and the 3rd of December. All training sessions will be held at Millbrook House and start at 9:30am. If you would like to attend, please contact me for more details. A big thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers for making my first couple of months in post enjoyable. Although I started working at Sight for Wight in September 2017 as the interim finance officer, taking on the role as volunteers manager was a great personal opportunity, and I hope you will all find me approachable and friendly. My first major task was organising the summer volunteer thank you party here at Millbrook House, with the theme of an afternoon at the musicals. It was a fantastic afternoon and everyone seemed to enjoy the atmosphere. While still in post, Michelle nominated 4 volunteers to receive recognition for their work, and they each received a voucher for afternoon cream tea at Albert Cottage. I hope Terry, Janet, Steve and Paul enjoyed it, as they all thoroughly deserve it. A number of volunteers entered in the spirit of the afternoon and dressed up as their favourite characters, and yes, so did staff. We were entertained by Hannah Pereira, who sang famous songs from the selection of musicals whilst we enjoyed our popcorn. I have also introduced a volunteer tree in the reception at Millbrook House, so if you haven't done so yet and are passing by, you are invited to pop in and write on our special tags while you volunteer at Sight for Wight and hang it on our tree. We still have vacancies for volunteers for several of our members' activities, so if you'd like to help out, we are always appreciative of any time you can afford. Susan Early, Volunteers Manager.
2019 Training Opportunities for Volunteers. Sighted Guide Training for Volunteers My Guide Level 1. It is recommended that all volunteers participate in this training to gain some understanding of and insight into sight loss, as well as learning the essentials of sighted guide training. Refresher training every 2 years is also recommended. Dates: 23rd of September, 15th of October, 3rd of December. Times: 9:30 to 12:30. Sight for Wight Professional Boundaries and Safeguarding Training, Tuesday the 8th of October, 9:15 to 12:30. This course aims to give an understanding of the importance, principles and practical application of professional boundaries and safeguarding, and is tailored specifically for Sight for Wight. Recommended for all volunteers who work closely with members, with participation in refresher sessions every 2 years. Sight for Wight Health and Safety Awareness Training, Tuesday the 8th of October, 1:15 to 4:30. This course aims to give an understanding of the importance and principles of health and safety in the workplace, and will be tailored specifically for the needs of Sight for Wight. Recommended for any volunteer in the role of ambassador or involved in events or activities at external venues when no staff member is present. Sight for Wight Food Hygiene Awareness Training, Tuesday the 5th of November, 9:15 to 12:30. The course aims to give an understanding of the importance and principles of food hygiene in the workplace, and will be tailored specifically to the needs of Sight for Wight. Recommended for any volunteer in the role of welcome host. Sight for Wight Emergency Aid Training, Tuesday the 5th of November, 1 o'clock to 4:30. The course aims to give you the confidence to deal with an emergency situation and is tailored specifically to the needs of Sight for Wight. Recommended for all volunteers who work closely with members, especially in the absence of staff members, with participation in refresher sessions every 2 years. For all training opportunities, on successful completion of any training programme, you will receive a Sight for Wight certificate. Refreshments are provided for all programmes. Please contact the Volunteers Manager to register your interest.
2019 Members Forum dates. Members Forums will be held on the following dates: Wednesday the 16th of October, 11:30am till 1pm. To be added to the email list for Members Forum updates, including agenda, location, etc., please email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Visit to Osborne House, Monday the 7th of October 2019. Venue, Osborne House, East Cowes, PO 32 6JT. Date, Monday the 7th of October 2019. Start time, 10:30am for approximately 4 to 5 hours. Cost, adults £18.50, senior citizen £16.70, minibus if required is £2. Lunch, the self-service cafe sells light snacks, and the Gazelle House cake shop at the Swiss Cottage also serves a small selection of snacks and cold drinks. There is an outdoor picnic area available should you wish to bring a packed lunch, although this is weather dependent. Closing date for applications Friday the 20th of September 2019. Minibus transport may be available depending on location. Join us for a visit to Osborne House. Osborne reflects Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's passions, tastes and style. Ornate furnishings and artefacts from the royal collection fill rooms and corridors where Victoria entertained heads of state, inventors, princes and princesses and ruled the vast British Empire. Please note all activities are subject to demand and availability of volunteers for driving and supporting as sighted escort guides. If any activity is oversubscribed, applications will be drawn from a hat and a waiting list will be made for a priority selection on a repeat visit. For more information, please contact 01983 522205. Members at iwsb.org.uk.
Visit to the Isle of Wight Distillery, Monday the 11th of November 2019. Venue, Isle of Wight Distillery, Pondwell Hill Ride, P0331PX. Date, Monday the 11th of November 2019. Start time. Meet at 10:30 a.m. at the Old Barracks Tea Room in Puckball Park, Ryde, where you can purchase some refreshments. This will be followed by talk and tasting at 12 noon for approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour at the Isle of Wight Distillery in Pondwell, Ryde. Cost, no charge for talking and tasting. Minibus, if required, is £2 plus money for refreshments. Closing date for applications, Friday the 25th of October 2019. Minibus transport may be available depending on location. The Isle of Wight Distillery creates a range of high quality, handcrafted spirits with exceptional flavours and authenticity. They use local and sustainable ingredients. Join us to visit the distillery for a talk, followed by tasting samples of the gin, vodka and dark rum which they produce. Please note, all activities are subject to demand and availability of volunteers for driving and supporting as sighted escort guides. If any activity is oversubscribed, applications will be drawn from a hat and a waiting list will be made for priority selection on a repeat visit. For more information, please contact 01983 522205, members at iwsb.org.uk.
What's on at Sight for Wight? Ride Swimming Group. Our swimming group meets every Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. till 8:45 p.m. at the Waterside Pool in Ryde. They have exclusive use of the pool during this session. The group is open to any visually impaired person who is a keen swimmer or who just enjoys being in the water. The pool's lifeguards are in attendance during the session. Pre-registering with Sight for Wight is essential, otherwise you may be refused admission. The cost is £5 to swim.
West Wight Swimming Group. On the third Wednesday of each month, members join the West Wight Swimming Pool Special Care Session. This runs from 12 noon till 1 p.m. The pool temperature is raised and extra staff are on hand to offer assistance. The pool's lifeguards are in attendance during the session. The cost is £4.20 to swim.
Wednesday Coffee Morning. We hold a coffee morning each week on a Wednesday at Millbrook House from 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. All are welcome to join us for a cup of tea or coffee and cake. The cost is £1 and the group is open to all, not just members. On the first Wednesday of each month we are joined by the Macular Society for their monthly meet-up.
Wednesday Low Vision Drop-In. Every Wednesday between 10 a.m. and 12 noon, we hold a low vision drop-in session. This coincides with the coffee morning and allows you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at the Society without the need for an appointment. If this time is not suitable for you, then you're welcome to call Sight for Wight to make an appointment to view our low vision equipment.
Thursday Social Group. The Thursday Social Group meets every week from 10:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Millbrook House, where they engage with other visually impaired people. They socialise and enjoy lunch together. In the afternoon, the group welcomes volunteers to come in to read from various books. The weekly cost to join the group is £3.
Monthly book group. Sight for Wight hold a book group on the second Wednesday of each month at Lord Louis Library in Newport. The group runs from 2 p.m. for about an hour. We discuss the last month's book and then hand out the book for the next month. Books are available on USB stick or CD. Refreshments are provided and guide dogs are welcome. There is no charge to join the book group. If you would like more information, please call Laura Jasper on 01983 52205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Sing About. On the first Wednesday of the month, members join the Wootton Sing About session, which is run by Independent Arts. Sing About is a social singing activity which can help improve memory, breathing and confidence. It's a great opportunity to meet new people and all are welcome. The session runs from 2 p.m. till 4 p.m. at St Mark's Church. Refreshments are provided. There is no cost for the session, although donations to Independent Arts are appreciated.
Strollers. Strollers meet on the second Tuesday of the month. They go for gentle strolls, enjoying the countryside or coastal views. This is followed by lunch at a pub or restaurant. The group is open to all visually impaired people who like a leisurely walk of about a mile. The cost to walk with the group is £3.
Striders. Striders meet on the last Friday of every month. They walk on different routes around the island and then finish off with lunch at a local pub or restaurant. This group is open to all visually impaired people who like longer walks in the countryside. The cost to walk with the group is £3.
Bowling. The bowling group meets once a month at LA Bowl in Ryde. The cost is £3.95 for one game and shoe hire. This is followed by refreshments and a chat at the bar. Please note there is no transport for this group.
Golf. The golfers meet once a month on a Sunday morning at Westridge Golf Club, Ryde. The group go on to the driving ranges and out onto the course. An instructor is available to help out beginners. The golf session lasts around an hour and is followed by refreshments and a chat in the cafe. Transport may be available to some of the groups. The cost for the minibus is £2. If you are interested in joining any of the activities, please contact the Society for more information on 01983 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
Sight for Wight coffee mornings. We hold a number of coffee mornings around the Isle of Wight. A volunteer or staff member will be there to offer information and support. They can also bring a low vision equipment from Sight for Wight on request. Come along and join us at the following locations.
Tuesday. The Knighton Coffee Morning is held on the first Tuesday of each month at the Knighton Post Office, 10 a.m. until 11:45. Refreshments can be purchased from the Post Office Cafe. The freshwater coffee morning is held on the last Tuesday of each month at the End of the Line Cafe, 10:30 a.m. until 11:45. Refreshments can be purchased from the cafe. The Ride Coffee Morning is held on the last Tuesday of each month at Costa Coffee, High Street Ride, 10:30 a.m. until 11:45. Refreshments can be purchased from the coffee shop.
Wednesday. We hold a weekly coffee morning on Wednesday at Millbrook House, Newport from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. A cup of tea or coffee and a slice of cake is £1. On the first Wednesday of each month, we are joined by the Macular Society for their meet-up.
Thursday. The Cows Coffee Morning is held on the first Thursday of each month at Costa Coffee, High Street, Cowes, 10:30 a.m. till 11:45 a.m. Refreshments can be purchased from the coffee shop. The God's Hill Coffee Morning is held on the second Thursday of each month at the Old Smithy Coffee Shop, 10:30 a.m. till 11:45 a.m. Refreshments can be purchased from the coffee shop.
Days for your diary. Sight for Wight are holding a bucket collection at Morrison's Supermarket, Newport, on Monday the 21st of October from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Please come along and say hello. Sight for Wight will be holding a coffee morning at Shawwell Village Hall on Saturday the 30th of November 2019 from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Books, jigsaws and bric-a-brac will be available to buy, so come along and support us. Have a chat and enjoy a cup of tea or coffee.
Upcoming members' activities. Save the date. Thursday the 19th of September. Day sailing on Spirit of Scott Bader. A purpose-designed, fully accessible catamaran. Further details to follow. Visit to Osborne House, East Cowes, Monday the 7th of October. And a visit to the Isle of Wight Distillery, Pondwell, on Monday the 11th of November. To learn all about the process of making the famous Isle of Wight Mermaid Gin. To register your interest in these activities or for more information, please call 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight, can access keep up with fast-moving technology? Or is it the job of those who develop new kit to remember disability access when they do it? Technology's certainly provided new ways for blind people to travel, to navigate the streets, to use household gadgets. But when things change, do we get forgotten? Well, apparently it nearly happened when the government decided it wanted all homes now to have smart meters installed by 2020 so that, they said, we could monitor our use of energy and keep down our costs. So what about visually impaired people? Well, the question did get belatedly asked, and now a company, Geo, in conjunction with the RNIB, has developed a display unit with synthetic speech and clearly marked controls to do the job. Well, to find out more about it, I've been talking to Audrey Gallagher. She's Policy Director of Energy UK, which represents energy companies who've been tasked with making sure accessible equipment is installed if visually impaired people want it.
Well, a smart meter works similar to your current meter, only it sends messages remotely to and from your house to your supplier, and that means that you'll get accurate bills. There's also an in-home display attached to the smart meter, and that allows you information about your energy consumption in real time, so you can understand what appliances are doing and you can hopefully find ways to save money.
And physically, what does it look like?
The in-home display, it looks a bit like a smartphone. I think it looks like a bit like a cross between a smartphone and a sat-nav. Sometimes they're like a wee boxy thing, but usually a digital screen, few buttons on them. And the one that's currently being developed, the accessible in-home display, that's just about making it even easier to use the in-home display and access information much more simply.
Now, people can argue about whether they think that smart meters are ideal for them or not, but I guess from a blind person's point of view, or indeed for some people with only partial sight, reading the meter itself is a difficult thing to do.
So that's one of the benefits, I think, of smart meters, in that there's no requirement to crawl underneath the stairs or stand on a chair with a torch to take a meter reading. That's for people that don't have partial sight or are blind. So it should really help to ensure that we've got much more accurate bills. But the reason why we've tried to develop this accessible in-home display is to make sure that not only is the information being fed directly to your supplier, but people that are blind and partially sighted also have access to that information themselves in real time.
So what access features do they have?
So it's got text to speech, so it's got audio output. The contrast on the screen is much better, much more tactile buttons, and it's actually the only device that's had a tried and tested approval rating from the RNIB, who have actually worked in partnership with the device manufacturer to make sure that we come up with an in-home display that actually works for people that are blind and partially sighted. What I would say though, right now, if anybody's got any concern about the accessibility information, either through a smart meter or just generally, please contact their energy supplier, because there will be other initiatives available on smartphones and through other technology.
So you say contact your energy supplier. Have all energy suppliers of all companies signed up to do this?
They haven't. Not all companies have signed up for this specific device, but all companies will be obliged to ensure that they have measures in place to provide information in a way that suits customers, particularly blind and partially sighted customers.
So might people have to change company if they want to use this device?
Well, I'm hopeful that when the device has been fully tested and is out being manufactured, that all suppliers will see it as a really valuable additional bit of kit to help their customers and will take it up.
So that's the companies themselves. What about the manufacturers? Is there going to be just one of these, or are we likely to see competition, different models coming up?
Could do. I'm aware of this one because Energy UK and our members have worked with the RNIB to commission this, and we've got a manufacturer in place. But, hopefully if there's a market out there, then competition will develop.
And what about the cost? What will these things cost people?
So they won't cost people anything directly, like the whole of the smart meter rollout. There is no charge at the point of installation. The rollout is paid for in the same way that the current analogue metering system is paid for, and that's that we all pay it through our bills. So there's no additional charge for anybody getting one of these devices.
Audrey Gallagher of Energy UK. So how confident can we be that these displays will be fit for purpose? I asked John Worsfold of the RNIB how the testing with visually impaired consumers in mind had been done.
We carried out testing with some prototypes, with first of all in-house expert assessments. Then we did participant testing with a range of blind and partially sighted people, and they were both task-based tests. For example, could you turn the speech on and off? Could you navigate to the main menu? Could you get to your history? But also observed testing.
And what were your conclusions?
So in the first stage, our conclusions were that the work we had done with Geo, they had a really good understanding. They had some issues. So, for example, the voice output was a little bit lower than we'd have expected. And when we said, look, we need to increase the volume, it turned out that in order to increase the volume, they had to actually change the form factor of the case, because it wasn't just a question of turning the volume up. They actually had to make some modification to allow the sound to come out and resonate more. So it wasn't just about the software design. We had quite a few consultations around the information, because obviously the display is quite a small display. It's a high colour contrast display, and they were used to displaying as much information as they needed on there. And when we came along and said, well, hang on a minute, there's a minimum font size and you need to consider the colour contrast of this, this and this, we had to then prioritise the information that they displayed, and it took a while for them to understand that perhaps less was more. This project is to create a single display that all of the suppliers have signed up to so that we get a benchmark of accessibility. They all get exactly the same device.
And they've agreed to that.
And they've agreed to that. We haven't got a launch date for everybody because every supplier is going through their own tribulations with the smart meter rollout. They've all got their own business requirements and everyone is at a different stage. So we will find towards the end of the summer that some suppliers will be offering these and some suppliers won't.
That was John Worsfold of the RNIB. Now, you wouldn't think, would you, that there'd be too much technology involved in slabs of stone. But these knobbly bits of paving, which have for some time been a feature of our streets and railway stations, continue to be a matter of some debate. I'm just standing at the top of a flight of steps that goes down to the piazza here at Media City, which is marked by this ribbed paving. It's really helpful to me. Many blind people at the moment are more concerned about the gradual disappearance of those accessible road crossings and the way in which distinctions are being constantly blurred between pavements and roads, pedestrians, motorists and cyclists. The National Federation of the Blind has already written to new Transport Minister Grant Shapps to express their many concerns. Meanwhile, the Department for Transport is carrying out a survey into textured paving. They've already conducted an online questionnaire, but they assure us there will be more opportunities for visually impaired people to express their views before the end of the year. But why are they such an issue? Someone who was in at the start of textured paving is Anne Fry, who back in the early 80s headed the mobility unit at the Department for Transport. She told me how textured paving had come to her and the department's attention.
Well, it started with a lady who'll be known to many of your listeners, Jill Allen King. Way back, in fact 38 years ago, she found that there was a completely accidental lump of knobbly pavement near where she lived that helped her as a relatively recently blind person to find out where she was and to navigate. She then contacted me and colleagues in Department for Transport with a newly formed disability unit in those days and said, could we go down and have a look at it and discuss it?
And, I mean, that sounds like a very simple idea, the idea of textured paving, once somebody's actually thought of it. But there have been a lot of debate about it ever since, about how to implement it. So what are these complications that have arisen?
It really stems from the fact that there's a limited number of surfaces that blind people can detect, distinguish between and remember over time. And there was a lot of research done before we went firm on any of the designs to make sure that it met all of those criteria. So there was a lot of debate and discussion and a huge amount of testing of all the different surfaces. And in the end, I think it was about 5 surfaces was the absolute maximum that we thought met all those criteria. And those were then allocated to different purposes. The road crossing one that everybody knows, one along the edge of platforms, one at the top of steps and so on. So, for example, the one at crossings needs to guide you either to the centre of the crossing or to the push-button box if there is one. So it's important that it runs from the building line right through to the curb edge and that it's giving you a very clear and precise message.
So, I mean, and is it really true that we took this idea to Europe? Because I understand you almost physically did that, didn't you?
I did actually take a very heavy test tactile surface paving stone and took it all the way to the Netherlands to see whether they thought it was also a good idea. So, you know, if I say that we definitely invented it, someone somewhere in the world will pop up and say they'd already thought of it. But definitely in Europe.
But given the fact that it is still a relatively a simple idea and there's been a lot of work on it, why do you think new surveys are still needed? What is there still to learn?
I'm not sure there's too much to learn in terms of its use. I think what is happening is that some of the initial guidance and understanding among local authorities, highway authorities, about what it's for and how to implement it correctly are perhaps being lost over time. You don't have to go very far to find examples of the tactile surface being put down incorrectly, one way or another. So something that perhaps reviews the guidance that's given and how to do it correctly, I think has got to be a good idea. I've certainly seen the crossing surface at the top of a flight of stairs, which is tremendously dangerous, of course, because it's giving you a quite different message. I think one of the most exasperating I've seen was actually finding the chaps putting down a tactile surface upside down. They thought the knobbly bits were to grip into the concrete. So, just that sort of lack of understanding about what it's there for, I think still abounds.
There is a sense amongst quite a lot of blind and partially sighted people that their needs are getting less priority than they did perhaps in your heyday as head of the mobility service. Developments such as shared surfaces, the loss of many audible crossings, the growth of obstacles on pavements despite continued campaigns to get rid of obstacles on pavements. What's your take on that and why it might be?
I think, again, it's a new generation of professionals coming up who perhaps haven't had the background and the training. I mean, it's still possible to qualify as any kind of engineer or professional without any knowledge of accessibility issues. And personally, I think it's high time that was dealt with, so that, it shouldn't be possible to qualify as a highway engineer unless you have studied and passed exams that show that you've got a proper understanding. So I think, with all the pressure for getting cars off the road, giving preference to cyclists and so on, occasionally the fundamental issues of what's safe and appropriate and usable for people with disabilities is just getting pushed down the pecking order. But a lot of it is a lack of awareness, I'm afraid.
And you did a lot of work on this in conjunction with visually impaired campaigners. Is it frustrating for you to see that happening?
It is, because, I thought we had made tremendous strides. We've got legislation in place, we've got good practice established. And you are now seeing, whether it's train designs or tactile surfaces, people doing things without recognising that they're actually throwing away the good practice that was developed.
If you were contributing to this latest survey, what would you say?
I think I would be talking about the need for good and consistent advice and training to the professionals responsible for installing it, so that they understand where and when it's wanted and how to do it correctly, how to monitor it, how to enforce bad practice. All of these things, I think, are now what's needed to... We don't need to reinvent the wheel, we just need to make sure that the wheel is still round and rolling properly.
Anne Fry, who's now an independent consultant on disability access. Well, as we've said, those textured surfaces can be a real boon when trying to navigate railway stations. But stations are complicated environments. Prompt, well-informed help is useful for the most confident of visually impaired rail users, and an absolute essential if you're less confident or inexperienced. It often works well, but the regulator, the Office of Rail and Road, thinks it could work better, and today they've issued new guidelines. Dan Brown is from the Office of Rail and Road. Why new guidelines now, Dan?
We've announced a set of measures which together really represent a step change in the rights that people can expect on the railway nationwide over the next few years.
Can we look specifically at the advanced booking system, which as far as visually impaired people is concerned is important, but there have been complaints about that. Blind people, like anyone else, don't always know when they're going to have to travel. What are you suggesting about the advanced booking system?
What we're aiming for is an integrated national system where everybody can have absolute assurance that they are going to receive a consistent service. So what we want to achieve by 2022 is that passengers can, so far as possible, enjoy a turn up and go service if they request assistance within 2 hours of their journey. That's quite an advance from where we are at the moment. And there are a number of changes that need to be made behind the scenes to railway companies' systems and processes, and critically the training that staff receive on platforms in order to deliver that 2 hour window.
Well, isn't one of them that they've actually got enough staff to do it?
What we have found is that even where there are staff at the moment, even where stations and trains are accessible, passengers aren't always supported as well as they could and should be. In the longer term, changes that need to be made to staffing levels, to the configuration of stations, to the introduction of new rolling stock, those are really decisions for government. What we also find is that station staff don't always have access to accurate information that help them to support passengers from their end-to-end journey.
You also want to give people more redress when things go wrong. What are you suggesting there?
There's a real inconsistency in the modes of redress. Our guidance requires common standards nationwide so that redress can be relied upon. Often when people are looking for assistance in journeys, the sort of redress that they're requiring is not the same as the redress that an able-bodied person would be requiring. The sort of redress they need are alternative travel arrangements, provision of taxis and so on. And so we are assuring common standards about what they can expect.
Dan Brown, how much clout do your guidelines have?
The licence that we issue to each train passenger company is ultimately backed by our ability to fine them if they don't live up to the conditions of that licence.
Dan Brown, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And that's it for today. Your responses on travel, access, technology are welcome. You can leave a message for us on 0161 836 1338. You can email in touch at bbc.co.uk, or you can go to our website bbc.co.uk/in touch, from where you can also download tonight's and previous editions of In Touch. From me, Peter Wight, producer this week, Tom Walker, and the team. Goodbye.
The scaffolding news for Friday the 2nd of August 2019. The list of known footway obstructions for works including scaffolding, hoarding, also details of skips, cranes and cherry pickers. We're unable to include end dates as many are extended on a week-by-week basis. The Cowes area, current scaffolds, Cameos, Bath Road, Cowes, Terminus Road, Cowes. The Newport area, current scaffolds, units 1, 2 and 3, 32 High Street, Newport, 117 to 118 High Street, Newport. Precision Hair, 50 St James Street, Newport, 102 High Street, Newport. Age UK 114A Pyle Street, Newport, 113 Pyle Street, pending cherry picker, junction of Standen Lane and Burnthouse Lane, Newport.
And in the Ryde area, current scaffolds 35 to 36 High Street, Ryde, flats 31 to 36 Mary Mead Close, Ryde, 22 West Street, Seaview, Boots 170 High Street, Ryde, Wright's Estate Agents 187 High Street, Ryde, Greenham's News Agents High Street, Ryde, 43 Nelson Street, Ryde. Pending scaffolds at Royal York Hotel, George Street, Ryde. Current skips, Carita, Stane Road, Seaview, Celandine, Stane Road, Seaview, Pear Tree Cottage, Circular Road, Seaview. Pending skips, 10 Prince Street, Ryde. Sandown and Shanklin area, current scaffolds, 42 Fitzroy Street, Sandown, Hursts, Regent Street, Shanklin, 49 Regent Street, Shanklin, 23 High Street, Shanklin. Current cherry pickers, Downsview, Sandown. Pending cherry picker, junction of Town Lane and York Road, Sandown. Current skips, Stour Place, Sandown. 5 Atherley Cross Road, Shanklin. Current hoardings, Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown. Pending mobile crane, Premier Inn 1 to 9 Esplanade, Sandown.
The Ventnor area, current scaffolds, corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor. Pending cherry picker, junction of Zigzag Road and Ocean View Road, Ventnor. Current skips, 16 South Street, Ventnor. West Wight area, current scaffolds, Vectis Vapes, Avenue Road, Freshwater, Hurst's 9 School Green Road, Freshwater. Pending scaffolds, Oak Cottage, Farriers Lane, Shorewell. Vehicle crossings under construction, The Meadows, Colwell Road, Freshwater, 8 Pitt Street, Bride, 4 Binstead Lodge Road, Ryde.